From there. So we're with Natalie Criou, and she has just finished her first single-handed Transpac. She has done the double-handed race from San Francisco to Hawaii. Is that correct?
To Oahu in 2008.
Yeah. So this is her first single-handed Transpac on the Express 27 Elise, and we're with her now. And tell us a little bit about your trip, Natalie.
Well, the trip I think had about three distinct parts. Uh, uh, Typically, that actually how the race would be kind of broken up. The first few days, about 4 days, is what is referred to as a windy reach. And the first 2 days were really, really very windy. I had a double reef rain. I had a number four. It was really wet. Wave was breaking over the deck. The boat was okay, except when there was a violent wave that would just completely push it over the side. So the other pilot was struggling. So just really cold and uncomfortable, but we know it doesn't last very long, so I just powered through that. After that, it's a lot warmer, but it's very light. Unfortunately, I had my wind instruments that were broken, so the other pilot wasn't doing a really good job at steering, and then I also had some power problems. Basically, my solar panels was not charging the batteries. It was huge issue. I had a backup system, which was a fuel cell, but I spent a lot of that time hand steering, so very little sleep, and really just trying to kind of get performance out of the boat, but really, really, really light air. Then the third part, which is the fun part, is when the surf begins. When you turn really downwind in a heavier breeze and a heavier swell.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of squalls pretty much every night. I even had one entire night full of squalls, like four squalls, one after the other. So I did a lot of driving as well, because the winds were up quite a bit. And the other pilot did drive wasn't quite up in this position. So this one day I had a kind of 16 hours that drove for 16 hours straight. Another day was 12 hours straight. That was very good. Really, really good speed. Surfing around.
Surfing!
Uh, Very heavy wind most of the time. There were the boat going great. But I was, I think I exhausted myself quite a bit. There was one day where I just had to take all the sails down, put one the main basically, and then just slept through the timer for 6 to 8 hours. And then after that I was rested again. But that part went very well. Very, very long, steady runs, very, very good boat speed, very easy to handle, no round up. The boat is just typically very, very stable. Actually, the more wind there is downwind, and the more stable the boat is. As the spinnaker just pulls through. So fantastic surfing.
Yeah.
The
So
last 3 days I had a bird. I decided to live on the boat for 3 days, kind of a freeloader. I picked the bird up about 300 miles from the finish, and they just left me at the finish. It's a bit of movie. So it lived on the solar panel, and it was an incentive for me to keep the boat stable, because it wouldn't like it if the boat moved, because it would have to then spread its swing to keep its balance. But very good run toward the finish. So that it would come back. And then the most frustrating night was just this one night when I was underneath some kind of weird black cloud for like an entire night, and it was the weirdest conditions. There were wind shifts up to 50 degrees, which I had never seen before. Like normally a squall is maybe 10-degree shift. The wind velocity would just go from like 0 to super high winds in no time. So I must have grabbed, I don't know how many times, I'm saying 100 times, clearly not 100 times, it's like forever. So I just kept, having to change things. So I took the kite down because I just couldn't place the jibing. I then used a blast reacher that I pulled out, and then I even removed the pole because I was jibing so often. And I just constantly, I had to, fight this thing the entire night, and then most of the day. Apparently I made, good progress. It was really funny because it was, I thought it was the most frustrating day and night the trip, but it was actually one of the best performing day. But as a single-hander, this is the worst possible thing. Like when you have stable conditions for a little while, you can go to, you set up your boat, you set up your sails, and you can just do things like go to bed, cook, or whatever it is. The worst thing that can ever happen is if things change all the time, you have no rest, and that's exactly what happened. I was exhausted after that, and but other than that, it was a great trip.
Yeah, and you had mentioned your strategy was go wing on wing at night and kites during the day. Did that prove to be what happened?
Yeah, and then I ended up really not doing quite that initially because I was just too frustrated with wing on wing. It was a little too slow. So we drive the kite up as much as I could, but it definitely was, a planning within the light air because I didn't have apparent wind in my instruments because my wind instruments completely broken. I had to hand steer and trim the sail a lot just because the other pilot couldn't do that. Right? It was just going to compass, but the apparent air would just, move and like change all the time. And then there was like the time when I would not fly the kite was just fast, and I kept that time as minimal as possible.
Okay.
So it wasn't. It ended up not being that for very long. For like it was like that for like 2 days. So I changed my strategy. But it was definitely all about daily average. That's kind of what you have to optimize for.
Okay.
Which is very different from around the buoy racing. You have to say, okay, in a 24-hour period, what is going to be the fastest thing to do?
Yeah. So you were the sole woman who actually stayed with the race and didn't bail out before the race even began. We lost Lilia Robbery and Karima Sharif before the race. I said there were two women that were scheduled to race that didn't make it to the start line or didn't finish.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, you were the sole female to make it through there. Is there any way to encourage more ladies to come out and do this type of thing, or what kind of words of wisdom do you have there today?
We are surfing. Really fun. Have to be just careful about the apparent wind angle, but the bird fixed my windokes up there. I'm going to try to land the couple of maps, so for now I can see the apparent wind angle pretty easily. So if I can keep my kite full more easily as opposed to shooting at the kite, and as soon as it starts to collapse, just like do a quick adjustment. Keep your kite full, you go faster. So it's good. It's great.
Really now is not about cruise force. It's just about parts and then good planning and good preparation. So I would really like I might suggest that to this anything that you have a little category award or something like that maybe as an incentive to for more women to participate, and I'd be very, very happy to talk to as many as possible. But I wish there were very many more women to come in.
Right, and you do a lot of single handing in the local SSS events, both offshore and in the bay. How big is that in getting yourself prepared, both physically, mentally, and with the boat itself?
I would say it's essential. If anything, it gives you the confidence in the boat, and it's really allowing you to feel comfortable. Learn the boat, and it's much safer because you start to learn how the boat reacts. You start to learn how you react under certain conditions. So, I knew, for example, that flying the kite in 30 knots of wind is something I could do. And because I had done it before many times. So, it takes apprehension levels down. And I would say, half the race is during the event, and then half the race is in preparation and preparing yourself to, become familiar with the boat, become familiar with how you react on the boat is equally important.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the preparation as far as packing and selecting what foods and supplies and other things of that nature. How big is the SSS in supporting you in that regard?
Oh, the group is fantastic. There's a lot of help. The truth is that for provisioning, I think it was a very personal thing. The qualifier there is, I think, the best thing to do. I experimented a lot during the qualifier, and I would really recommend that a lot of people just experiment, both with sleep patterns and with food. There's a big difference, right, between these long distance racing races and then base stuff. It's not so much the sailing; it's much more about how you manage yourself. Like, the only down day I had, it was because I was exhausted. It's not like the boat was, doing anything wrong. It's not like the sailing had become more difficult. But it was a really light day. It was that I hadn't managed my sleep. So it's definitely something that I would recommend. So I have to do that. So, and then during the qualifier, I realized that snacking, constantly was my favorite mode of eating versus meals at set hours. And so I planned my entire provisioning based on that, right? Like everything was packed up in little snack portions, and even though it may be a part of a meal in terms of what it was, it would be eaten as a small thing. Okay.
And last but not least, let's talk about the reception you get when you come into Hanalei Bay.
So that was actually fantastic. And one of the best thing about this race is you just arrive. So not only do you arrive in one of the most beautiful places in the world, but you also have a little committee boat that comes out with the people you know, right? So this was like the fellow Express 27, a friend of mine, Brian Rochmo, had helped me get the boat ready. You select your, before you leave, the drink that you want, and then they prepare it right there for you. They board your boat, they anchor your boat, they take your sails down, they clean up your boat, and leave. So you're basically taken care of, and it's friendly places. It's a very personal touch. So you don't arrive at a dock, but it's such a nice, nice touch. You just feel, embraced and welcomed again by that community when you get there. It's fantastic.
All right. We'll conclude with that. I'm going to turn off the tape right now, but don't go away. Thanks for the conversation. We're ending this with Natalie Criou and the story of Elise.